On this vote, the yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted. December 18th, a great day for the Constitution of the United States. A sad one for America that the president's reckless activities necessitated our having to introduce articles of impeachment.
It doesn't really feel like we're being impeached, do you? The country is doing better than ever before. We did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. And we have tremendous support in the Republican Party like we've never had before.
The weakest, the thinnest, the fastest impeachment in U.S. history. Schumer even admitted, trying to ask for more witnesses, that what happened on this floor over here was wrong. Now we have the own Speaker of the House who is so embarrassed, she admits the failure of this impeachment that she will not even send it to the Senate. So embarrassed that I watched in her press conference, she wouldn't even take your questions. That is not a good legacy to have. She's admitting defeat by not sending it.
When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, and the whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers in that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. We would hope there would be a fair process, just as we hope that they would honor the Constitution. By the way, I saw some of it, I didn't see it, but I heard some of what Mitch McConnell said today, and it reminded me that our founders, when they wrote the Constitution, they suspected that there could be a rogue president. I don't think they suspected that we could have a rogue president and a rogue leader in the Senate at the same time.
And everything I do during this, I'm coordinating with White House counsel. There will be no difference between the president's position and our position, but we'll be working through this process, hopefully in a fairly short period of time, in total coordination with the White House counsel's office and the people who are representing the president in the well of the Senate.
This thing will come to the Senate, and it will die quickly, and I will do everything I can to make it die quickly.
I'm Barry Gordon.
Surprise, we're back. I'm Andre Coleman.
This is NewsRap.
Drums. Well, it's happened.
It has happened, and that's why we're here during the break at Pasadena Media. I want to thank our peeps. I want to thank I don't know if you still use that expression, but I used it. I just did. I'm sorry. But I want to thank Hannah and Jared and Charles for coming in during the break, and George and everybody for coming in during the break.
Now, keep in mind,
but we felt we had to be on. Now, let me explain.
Go ahead.
We're not live.
Nope.
So you're not going to be able to call. You're not going to be able to comment. But when you watch this, comment with each other, guys. Let us know what you're thinking. Start the conversation.
And we said all along, off the air, that we might have to come in and do a special show.
Right.
If the president left office or was impeached.
Right.
And you know what? Barry contacted me earlier this week and said we got to go do a show. And it took a couple hours, just really a couple hours.
Unbelievable.
And we decided to come back and do this.
They're great people here.
So now,
they really are.
Let's get into this. History. Let's start with the history.
It's history. Okay. It's history. Whatever happens in the Senate, we got history here, right?
And no matter whatever Trump does going forward, he is an impeached president.
That's right.
Obituary and history will
only the third.
That. Only the third, but only the second elected president.
That's right. And only the first. Only the first, I believe, to be impeached in his first term.
That's correct. But there's another first that the Dems keep missing, and this is a point I've been wanting to make.
Ah.
They keep saying how this is not a bipartisan impeachment. in Congress. And it's not
Right.
so far.
Well, yeah.
But he is also the first president to be impeached based on charges levied against him from his own administration.
Well, that's a very good point.
See, neither Nixon
Right.
nor Johnson.
Right. Well,
Nope. Johnson was impeached because he
no, I was going to talk about Nixon.
No, the charges against Nixon were not originally levied against him from the Nixon administration. An arrest was made that led to, it was an investigation.
It was, well, but so was this.
Yes, but
So-
after a
Oh,
whistleblower.
are you talking about the phone call?
Yes.
Is you saying they handed us? They said, "Here."
Well, I'm not saying it's on
here's
purpose.
this impeachable offense
I'm
that
not
we
saying
did,
I'm not
because
saying-
that's what they did.
It is what they did. It's
Yeah.
his administration.
Yeah.
It came out of his administration. So when you say it's not bipartisan, and Pelosi swore she wouldn't do it unless it was bipartisan, she has to do it if people in his own administration go, he's a crook.
Right.
And this is what he did. So
Right.
there's no choice then.
What I was thinking was John Dean, who had a lot to do
He flipped,
with.
and he did.
And he flipped.
And he
Right.
did. And there's still the chance for that here. But I'm just talking about the initial
Right.
basis of this came out of the Trump administration.
Right. So now we have a trial, and no one knows what the heck that is going to look like.
And we've
doesn't it?
talked about this
Oh my gosh.
dozens of times, and either you or I thought for a second that we'd be here going, so how is the trial thing going to work?
Yeah.
I thought the articles would just be passed on and a trial date would be set.
And a trial date would be set.
But you know what? I don't dislike this move. I'm not
Okay.
ready to say I like it, but I don't dislike it.
All right,
Well,
tell me why.
And I'll tell you why. I don't dislike it because if she is saying, I won't hand over the articles unless there's a fair trial
Right.
with witnesses,
Right.
that's something worth bargaining for. A. And
Yeah.
B, the longer this goes, the more likely, and I don't think it will go this long, we are to get either a tax decision, which he's lost every one of them so far, or definitely McGahn could be forced to testify.
Well, that's coming. Yeah.
And that one is coming.
That is coming. And we don't. Now, it's probably too late to add another article, however. So, that's coming, which is why I want to talk a little bit about what the articles were. I think there have been some tactical mistakes. And I kind of want to talk
I
a
can think
little
of 3.
bit about those.
I can think of 3.
And unfortunately, and I hope he will take this in the spirit in which it is offered.
You got to do what you got to do.
Because I love the man, and I think he's brilliant, and I think he has been brilliant in this process. But I think Adam Schiff made 2 tactical mistakes.
What's the first one?
The first one was in not going to court.
Okay.
Because I always think that the best thing you can do is when you have an opposition, you want to close as many lines of attack as you can from that opposition. Now, they're going to attack you anyway. I mean, it's just like the theory that we have to, nominate a moderate because otherwise they're going to attack people as socialists. They're going to attack anybody as a socialist. They would attack Genghis Khan as a socialist if he was the Democratic nominee, right? So that you can't stop. But if we had gone to court right away and said, it was a little investigation, but basically said, we need this information because it could lead, we haven't made the decision yet, but it could lead to the impeachment of the President of the United States. And we have a need to hear from these people, subpoena them, have them deny the subpoenas, get into court. 2 things would happen, possibly. There were basically 2 things. One is that you ask for an expedited ruling and you get it.
Okay.
And we could have gotten rulings by now if we'd started that in the summer
What's 2?
or September. Or we would not have gotten an expedited ruling. And then Adam and Nadler can go to the American public and say, we tried.
What about 3?
We tried to do that, and they would not expedite it. So now, you know what? We have to go ahead because we have an emergency.
What about 3?
What's the third?
They fold. And he comes and testifies with no ruling.
Yes, but there's absolutely no sign of that. Now, everyone's saying about Bolton's book, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there was a little book that I recall that came out. It was called Blind Ambition in the 1970s. And it was about John Dean. And John Dean wrote the book. Testifying did not keep him from having a bestseller. As a matter of fact,
it helped him.
It gave him a bestseller. So this idea that he has all this information and he's going to put it in his book is ludicrous.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Go
because
for it.
We fight different ways.
Okay.
Your way of fighting is to close up and seal off any possible holes where the other side can make an offensive move against you.
Right.
I say the very first thing you do is you hit the other side right in the mouth.
Well, you do that too.
You know how I would have done it?
How?
I would have had McGahn arrested.
Oh, me too.
And once he's arrested,
me too.
I can then say,
me too.
It's because the president is a crook,
right,
and will not allow him to testify. And then the court has to make an expedited ruling,
right,
because I've pushed their hand. And then Bolton has to think about it, right. And Mulvaney, and I would go on TV and I'd say,
I agree with that completely.
I would go on TV and I would say, look, if you do not comply with our subpoena and you do not have executive privilege, or if the president is illegally using his executive privilege and you do not show up to testify, you will be arrested. Period.
Yep.
And then I would say, and we have sent subpoenas to the following people.
Right. So I think we're both saying the same thing.
Right.
Which is that we kind of wanted it both ways a lot of the time. The other tactical mistake I feel that Adam should have stood by his work.
Completely
agree. He wrote a brilliant report.
Right.
All of the facts were there. Then the fact that he sent Goldman and this one and that one and Nadler and, what that did was, again, it gave an opening to say, where is Adam? Right. Why is he hiding? Why won't he stand by? And you know something? Yeah, they would have asked him stupid questions about call logs and what was happening in the dead of night, and he could have answered every one of them because he has been very above board in this process.
He had them on their heels to that point.
Yes.
Because all we had from the Republicans at the hearings were Jim Jordan was doing I Have a Scream speeches.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Nunes, for some crazy reason, kept bringing up nudes of President Trump in every other sentence.
Right.
I don't know what the hell that was about.
Right.
And then you had the New York Congresswoman.
Yes, right.
Stiffneck, that's what I call her. I forgot her name.
Yeah.
Elise
Stefanik, yeah.
Stefanik, who would just throw out these three questions to everybody, the same three questions designed to elicit that, yes, this could be a conflict of interest.
Right.
But what should have been said, and Adam finally got around to saying it the other night, was, well, he still hasn't said it. What should be said is, and I know why they're not saying it, because they don't want to make it look like that Joe Biden or Hunter could be guilty of anything.
Right.
But what we can point out is, it does not matter.
No.
Even if he did it and he stole millions of dollars, the president still cannot ask the leader of a foreign country to aid him.
That's right.
This way. So that does not matter.
No, and why that hasn't been driven home, I'm not sure.
Well, they don't want to.
I was finally sort of driven home. The other big argument that they've made, which is a very easy argument, I think, to blow up, is the Zelensky argument.
Oh, yeah.
And the Yermak argument, that they're now, Yermak was in Time magazine saying no pressure, everyone's saying no pressure. What the hell are they supposed to be saying? Do they still need aid? Do they still need an alliance with the United States? Do they still need bipartisan support? And the way that the Republicans callously, cynically painted that as saying that the Democrats were calling Zelensky a liar.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why none of the Democrats took that on head on. If you were Zelensky, would you get up there and say they could have had a freaking gun to your head? And would you get up there and say, oh, God, they had a gun to my head? Well, I don't think so.
People are visual creatures.
Yeah.
All of us. And you being the great actor that you are and the great voice artist, you will know this reference. In The Godfather 2, there was a scene in
Made
court.
him an offer. Oh, in court. Oh, the Frankie Pentangeli. Yeah,
What did that guy say on stage?
exactly. Yeah.
He didn't go, "Oh, they're threatening me and my brother."
No.
He went, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what we do.
Yeah, because it's not as if Zelensky could say, "Go away, guys. We don't need
Right.
you. We got other sources."
Well, what's happened?
They can't do that.
Well, what's happened to everybody else who has turned or who has not gone the way that the President of the United States has wanted him to go?
And by the way, all you have to do is to look at Zelensky's face in that joint press conference when he's just kind of looking at the president like,
Yeah. He's a scared little man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also a very skeptical one.
Of course.
So,
And-
that's just, those are just
Well,
stupid
come on.
arguments that unfortunately they'll just keep doing.
If
and
you're
doing and
Zelensky
doing.
and you know that Putin's puppet is telling you this is what you're going to go out there and say, or we're not helping you at all,
Yeah.
you're going to go out there and say it.
And now today, the reporting that basically it's our buddy Putin
Yeah,
who's been putting all of this garbage in Trump's ear
of course.
and saying, that it was Ukraine. Oh, it was Ukraine.
Okay.
Well, he's not self-serving at all, is he? He has no motive
Right,
whatsoever.
right. We should believe him.
To try to
All right,
say that.
So
I mean-
let's move this forward. Let's move
Okay,
this forward.
go for it.
So we go to trial. At some
go to
point,
trial.
At some point, there will be a trial.
Very soon. In fact, could be the first week we're back.
Right. So
Wouldn't that be fun? Okay.
you and I doing trial commentary.
Yeah, right. We ought to do a podcast, I think.
That would be great. We could
called
do it
The
here.
Old Turks.
The old turn? Speak for yourself, pal.
Oh, well, believe me, I can. But, the old and middle-aged
Right.
Turks.
There it is.
Yeah, okay.
We go to trial on this thing.
Yeah,
2 questions.
okay.
Robert's role,
Yes.
is there hope there? And can McConnell, without Roberts getting involved, does Pelosi, because Schumer, who I typically don't like,
Yeah,
who always comes across kind of milquetoast to me,
yeah.
I think Schumer's been tough on this when I see him calling for witnesses.
And you know why? He's got 100% of his caucus behind him.
Of course.
He's got Doug Jones. He's got
he's
Joe
got backup.
Manchin.
He's got backup.
He's got all of them.
And he's
behind
got more than 70% of the American public and 64% of Republicans
Exactly.
who want to see these people testify.
Exactly. So, Robert's role.
Robert's role. Justice Roberts.
No one knows. It's not in the Constitution, right? All we know is he's supposed to preside.
But the Constitution does say that he can rule on matters of evidence, which can be overturned
Which
by...
can be overruled, but he doesn't have to.
Right, he doesn't have to, but he can.
He can. Can is the operative word.
So let me ask you this.
Rehnquist,
Did nothing.
during the Clinton impeachment,
Played crossword puzzles.
chose to do nothing.
Right, he played crossword puzzles.
The question is now, and this is what I think is about to happen. I know the Republicans tried to make this
A prediction.
all about, they tried to make this about perception of the Democrats as railroading this whole thing.
And this is why I have said that if there's going to be movement, it will be moved during the Republican process.
Because now it's all going to be about perception.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all goes. It's not going to be about the facts. I wish it was. But it's going to be about perception. So now you've got Chief Roberts up there wearing his robe, and he's presiding. And let's say that we don't get
Witnesses.
witnesses. And by the way, there's a legitimate lawyerly answer. Also, instead of getting into the whole strategy, there's a legitimate reason why Nancy could say, we need to know that before we appoint our managers.
Okay.
And the legitimate reason is that lawyers have different skill sets.
Right.
And therefore, if it's not going to be witnesses, you don't need people who
Right.
are much
How do I
prosecutors and
how do I
trial
proceed forward?
lawyers. You need more
Okay.
appellate court
But I'm going to reel you back
kind
in.
of arguers,
I'm
right?
going to reel you back in.
Yeah.
Go back to your Roberts point.
Okay. Back to the Roberts point. Let's say no witnesses. Nancy decides, well, we can't hold it forever. We're going to turn it over.
Okay.
Okay. Trial starts. And by the way, I'm cribbing some of this because there was an excellent program yesterday on MSNBC by Ari Melber.
Okay.
Where he kind of went through a lot of this procedure.
Okay. Let's.
So I'm cribbing it.
All right, move it forward.
Move it forward. I know you got to go.
But that's not I got to go. I want to get to a point.
Do I have a point? Yes, I have a point.
Come on.
All right. At some point, let's say there's arguing, the managers are talking, and at some point, some senator, can be one senator, Democratic senator, says, Justice Roberts, we would like to move that you subpoena John Bolton. And then let's say a Republican gets up and says, well, we would like to move that you subpoena Hunter Biden. Mm-hmm. Now, in a normal trial, Roberts would be able to say, I find
on this side
that John Bolton is germane to this inquiry.
And Hunter Biden is not.
Because he has facts that we need to hear, and Hunter Biden is not. So let's say that he had the guts, which I don't know if he does, to rule. And he'll say, yes, I'm granting this subpoena for Bolton. I'm not granting it for Biden. Now it goes to a vote, right? The Republicans say, well, we're going to vote to overrule that. Are there 4 Republican senators who are going to say to themselves, I'm in a vulnerable district, or I'm Mitt Romney, and I do not want to see the circus here. I do not want to see Hunter Biden. But you know what? 71% of the people feel that we need to hear more facts. I'm going to vote with the Democrats. All it takes is 4.
Right. And there are 4.
So that is how this plays out.
So I'm going to say this on
and
that.
Basically, that's how it played out in the Clinton impeachment.
So
they started without witnesses.
Right.
And then in the middle of the trial, they decided they wanted witnesses. And they wanted 3 of them. 2 of them got called and 1 didn't. Guess which one didn't? Monica Lewinsky.
I'm going to say this. I don't think the president's going to be removed by the Senate.
I don't either.
But if you get the 4 to vote in that direction, what happens next?
Well, then I think, well, we don't know. Because if the 4...
We do know.
If Bolton comes in and testifies... No.
That's not the question.
Well,
the
if
question
it's 4, then you're going to have witnesses.
The question is not what will the witnesses say.
Okay.
If 4 people vote in that direction, what happens to the rest of the Republican caucus who are voting? To the rest of the jurors who are Republicans?
Is that a rhetorical question, Dre? I think it's rhetorical.
It is.
Tell me what happens.
Typically, in the stories I've done,
it
takes 3 people to change the mood of a group of people.
Right.
Other people will find courage.
Right.
And that's when you will see cracks begin to come to the surface. And I'm not saying you're going to get the necessary number to replace, but that's when you see the cracks come to the surface and Republicans beginning to ask questions that they are not willing to ask publicly now.
That could be.
That's why I say if it's going to move, it's going to move.
That's
here.
where it would move.
Because now, I think there probably will be a Republican who says, I think we need to hear from witnesses. I think everything you just said is probably exactly how it will play out. And I think, and McConnell has said he doesn't want the circus. McConnell doesn't want the circus because he doesn't want to hear from Hunter Biden.
Right.
And they know what they are risking by calling him.
Right. And by the way, just on a side point, another Republican argument has been, well, you guys have wanted to impeach him for 3 years, which is definitely not true. I have. But, I mean, the leadership certainly did not want to go down this road, as we know.
Because there were votes.
Nancy didn't want to go down this road.
Well, there were votes, and the votes didn't pass.
Exactly. So the fact is that they've been arguing, well, he doesn't even know what he's being, because it keeps shifting, it keeps changing. And no one kind of reminded them that an investigation that started about a failed real estate deal ended up with a stained blue dress. Right. And I don't know exactly how that happened, but don't tell me that there was great clarity about the Kenneth Starr investigation, guys.
Well, let's go a step further. This idea that the Mueller investigation was the first step towards impeachment by the Democrats. Let's moonwalk.
Uh-huh.
Who had a full Congress when the Mueller investigation?
I can't do that. You can
I can't actually.
Oh, okay.
Who had a full investigation when a full Congress when the Mueller investigation started? Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a Democratic investigation. That went through a Republican Congress.
Well, he was appointed by a Republican acting attorney general.
Yeah. So this idea that the Dems did this, they didn't do it.
Right.
No, Jeff Sessions recused himself.
That's right.
That's a Republican action.
Rod Rosenstein.
Yeah, that's a Republican action.
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't go through the Democrats or the House. Democrats didn't stop it.
And what triggered the appointment of Mueller was Trump's idiocy in firing Comey.
Firing Comey. So again, and these are strategic mistakes I've seen.
Yes.
When you talk about strategic mistakes.
Yes.
These are things that should be pointed out.
Yes.
Look, you talk about Mueller, we didn't have either side of Congress when that started.
No.
That came out of the president's actions and
Exactly right.
Jeff Sessions. And in the words of McConnell, it's not our job to do your job.
Exactly.
Why would we stop it?
Exactly.
So,
and when we did get Congress, the last thing that Nancy wanted was to get sucked into this. And it was the fact that Trump handed this thing to us and said it was a perfect call.
He begged
well,
her.
she said he's impeaching himself.
Right.
And she was right.
Well, and to go further.
Frankly, if he'd never given us that phone call, would we be here today?
No.
No.
Well, you know what? I'll go further. If he had made the phone call 10 days before, we wouldn't be here. If he had made the exact same phone call 10 days before he made it, we wouldn't be here.
Why?
Because Adam Schiff told me the thing that moved him to impeachment was that Trump dared do it one day after Mueller came to Congress.
That's right. Yes,
which was the message that Adam took from that was he's never going to stop.
Right.
He doesn't even care what we just went through.
Right.
So if he had done it 10 days before, maybe some people don't move. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do. But I'm still not sure he's completely out of the woods on this. And I don't think he thinks he is either.
Well, I don't think we're going to know for a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, let's party.
Yeah. Enjoy it while you can, man.
Because it's holiday time, baby.
So
let's have fun.
Wait. I have a question. Are we saying merry impeachment or happy impeachment? I don't want to offend anybody.
Oh,
I don't want to offend anybody.
Let's go with necessary impeachment.
Okay.
And keep it there.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, okay. So, guys, thanks for joining us.
Good to be back.
Unexpectedly. It's great to be back. And we will be with you in all likelihood the first week of the trial, man.
About 3 weeks, right?
But have a wonderful Christmas. Have a wonderful Hanukkah. Have
care.
a wonderful Kwanzaa. Have a wonderful time and a wonderful New Year. We love you. Thanks for hanging in with us. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman. Merry Christmas, everybody.
This has been NewsRap.
And it ain't live at 5.
No.